Hey everyone, welcome back to the Radiant Oracle Diaries. This entry I am titling uh, Nutrition as Devotion and how to create a sacred relationship with food. As many of you know, that is much of my background is working with women and in the nutrition and weight loss arena. And I've spent really decades on a personal level, really working through my own relationship with food and my body. And, as I have gone through several different iterations of not just my body, uh, but also just how I converse and in relationship with food. And because of the fact that I had kind of a difficult upbringing, I really turned to food, as comfort instead of, nourishment, because I really wasn't getting that nourishment from the places that I needed. And so as I progressed in life, I really sought after control over this area because obviously it started to affect how I looked and my weight and how I felt about myself. And so I became really hyper obsessed with uh, how to manage and control this idea of like my weight and body composition, all of that. And, having gone through breast implant illness and a breast cancer scare, and then all of the different health conditions after I removed my implants that really started to arise because of the lack of quote unquote nourishment that I was giving to my body, the love, the care, because I was so focused in a way that really wasn't sustainable and it really wasn't something that was feeding my soul, and it really wasn't really truly giving me what I needed on a deeper level. And so, because I want this channel to be open and vulnerable um, and kind of a diary of some of my own experiences and truths that I share with all of you, I also want it to feel as though you're getting information and education and insight that can help you on your journey. That's really my goal. Is that if I can share some of my own life circumstances and journey, and if I can really be devoted in that to all of you and share some of this knowledge that came uh, with a price to pay, frankly. I mean, life is our hardest teacher, right? And so that's kind of where my heart is at today. And I wanted to jump on here and talk through, what nutrition as devotion versus willpower really looks like. But before I do, I'm reading this really great book, The Call of Intuition, um, by Chris Franken. And I really wanted to just start with this quote, which I think is really beautiful. And it's really around connection with yourself. And it reads here, at any moment you have a choice that either leads you closer to your spirit or further away from it. And this really touched me because we oftentimes don't think about food or uh, body goals or our weight or all of that as a frequency, but nutrition and nourishment and how we really feed our bodies is is absolutely an energetic frequency. How you eat, when you eat, what you eat, the mindset that you are in while you're eating, all of that carries an energetic frequency. And we have been taught that it is transactional, and it is that, it's calories in versus calories out. And if you want to eat a certain way or look a certain way, then, here's the formula. And while that's a perspective that I think can work in one area or in some cases, there's also many cases where that alone does not really work. And it fails because so many people are focused so much on the what I call diet fatigue, that and that they're doing everything right, and they're in this very like masculine, data factual, grinding sort of mentality. And so the relationship to food and the relationship to your own body, energetically, it throws things off, right? There's this push pull that happens. And no matter how you feel, or if you don't feel nourished, or if you don't feel satisfied, or you get a stomach ache, or all of these things that can happen when you make various choices with food, and it can derail you or just really frustrate people. So, what I want to try to do today is just talk a little bit about shifting your nutrition mindset from willpower to devotion. And this is moving out of a masculine way of thinking. Now, I'm going to probably say this 50 million times throughout all these videos. I am a girl, a lady, a woman who wants and likes results. Okay. So if you are new to the spiritual world, if you are someone who is interested, or like, oh, that sounds really cool, or, you're dabbling in what people might say the woo. I don't really love that term, but, and you're trying to like grasp, wrap your mind around this, try to have an open perspective, because in the end, it all leads to the same, it all will get you to the same place. And what do I mean by that? I'm not saying that you can just sit in your room and do meditations all day, and weight will start falling off of you, and you'll just start building muscle, and you'll have the body of your dreams. What I am saying is that when you are in the right frequency, when you do those things and when you have those foundations in place, the meaning behind them and the devotion around them will be different. And you'll be able to listen to the rhythms of your body, and you will have much better results. So don't be confused, that I'm somehow preaching this way that isn't scientific, or this way that, it's just not going to be as palatable, and it's going to be uncomfortable, because we are used to fast results, and doing things in a way that is that are unsustainable. And this is a big foundation for me in the work that I do, is that it has to be sustainable, because honestly, nothing in our world right now feels sustainable, especially if you are in midlife and you're trying to navigate all the changes and the health things that are going on, and, work, and, maybe you're running a business, maybe you have a family, maybe you're taking care of parents, maybe you have children, like there's all these things. And so being rigid and staying in that masculine is really going to be challenging for you to have real presence and reverence, and not worry, and to be perfect. And that's really what some of these protocols and different things teach us, right? That we have to be super rigid and perfect. And that's not how the female body works. And it's not how our lives work. So one thing too I wanted to say about that is, when you have a devotion to something, you think about people who have a religious devotion, or a devotion to like a practice, or something that their heart is in. you will have different goals. You will have goals and perspectives that are going to be different than if you are just focused in one area, meaning like the scale, or, you want your jeans to look a certain way, or you want whatever it is for you. Because the mindset around devotion will feel different than the mindset around losing weight. That doesn't mean that you can't accomplish losing weight. It just means that we have to shift. We have to shift the perspective of the problem, because the problem is not actual. The problem that you think the problem likely is usually not the problem. It's usually all these other things that are getting in the way. And so it's like taking that pressure off of what you think is the problem, and really like creating a life and a devotion and a practice and a lifestyle that's sustainable, and that also it honors you. It honors your rhythm. And it's also something that you can stand firm in, right? So have you ever like felt embarrassed that you were on a diet, or felt like, you're the gal that's, oh, well, people have like judged you for that, oh, well, she doesn't eat that, or, oh, you're on a thing again, or you're on a whatever. When you are embodying this and having a embodied experience that is really captured with that devotion, you will not give a fuck. Okay. And people will not even really say much. There's going to be a difference in even how you energetically show up in the decisions that you make when it comes to, the choices that you make when it comes to food, and how you even expand that into your family and into sharing your perspectives with others, and really tuning into that. So I just want to say that this really shifts the way that you walk and talk, and the frequency that you are in when it comes to setting goals, or or feeling uncomfortable in your body. There's a way to move through that can feel softer and easier. Why does this matter in midlife? Well, our bodies are different. FYI. um, what we used to be able to do or get away with, we can't anymore, and that's a good thing, because our bodies are talking to us, and we need to listen. We're neurologically different. Things are changing. There's things hormonally that are shifting, and to be clear, this, obviously I'm speaking mostly to women, but this also happens to men. We just don't talk about it. Men go through changes. Their testosterone is declining. Men also have estrogen issues. There's changes that happen as men get older too. So, it's important that we shift this, because when you start to get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, like this, this is a long journey, and you want to work with your body, not against it. Also, the desperation to feel better has really overridden our intuition. So sometimes we have used food or other vices or other things to feel better, and the more that we do that, the more we disconnect to what we know feels good, and we disconnect to our joy, and we disconnect to our truth. And that's really what we're all wanting and searching for, right? Is to know our own truth, and to feel really firm in that. The other piece is that, when you are like signing up for a program or a protocol, or, you're like, I want to lose X amount or whatever. Many people follow protocols that their bodies aren't even ready for. For example, if you are, if you're told that you want to build some muscle and lose weight, or you want to get into a healthier position with your body, and you get put on a really strict regimen of like lifting heavy weights 3-4 times a week, and but you've come into this scenario and you're depleted, and you're caretaking for parents and you're a mom and you're a business owner, or you have a very high demand job, and now all of a sudden you're waking up earlier or you're staying up later so you can squeeze in that aggressive workout that you really haven't primed your body for, that you really haven't even consulted your nervous system with. And now you are pushing yourself, and your adrenals are like, ho, 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 wait a minute. This is too much. And so then the opposite effect can happen, right? You burn your body out, you actually hold on to fat, inflammation goes up, your metabolic rate decreases because your body is holding. This also can be true if you're in an emotional state, or you've gone through a very intense state of grief and your body is still kind of coming around. Now, I'm not saying that, you can only do stretching for, the rest of your life. But what I am saying is you need to know and be in tune with what your body is ready for before going in. You actually need consent from your body. And in order to have that consent, you have to be tuned in to your own truth. You have to be connected. And if you are disconnected, then you can't know that, because your intuition is going to be all off. You're not going to be able to trust it. The other thing why this matters in midlife is, the body has to feel safe to metabolize nourishment. This is where like digestive issues come into play, and leaky gut and SIBO and candida and all these things that, our gut is in charge, and it's really controlling a lot of our brain signals. And so then our hormones are off and all of these things go haywire. So many people think that, okay, let's start by healing the gut. And then let's start with, then we start all these pills, and then we start these protocols. And again, we're in this masculine protocol set, but we haven't addressed any of the nervous system issues. We don't feel safe in our bodies. We don't even know what safety looks like. Our bodies don't know how to actually absorb food. And so we're not even getting the nourishment, even if we are eating super healthy and, we're eating in a specific way. At some point, a couple months down the road, the body will burn out, or it will start to do the reverse, right? So you've lost the weight and now it'll hold. And so again, it's like you cannot get stuck in like one way of being, and you have to be in that flow with your body. Like, what is my body wanting? What is it needing? What is it asking right now? So what nutrition as devotion really means, well, it's collaboration, not control. It's food is communication and not just calories. That got me in some huge trouble. I mean, I was calorically, I was like my Fitness Pal junkie and was tracking my food for years obsessively, but I didn't care about the nourishment. I didn't care about the vitamins, the minerals. What I cared about was, okay, did I meet my macros for the day? Did I do this for the day? How much fat do I have left? And it became it was a huge disconnect. I wasn't ever asking it didn't matter if I was hungry. Didn't want to go over my macros. But then if I had a bad day and I had been restricting, then I didn't care if I, was going to binge. And so there was this relationship that was going on outside of the relationship with my body that became it became really worrisome, and it really worked against me for a long time. And I really couldn't understand why I couldn't reach my goals, or why my body was holding, or why I was reacting to certain things, or why it was, I was having all these gut imbalances because my body was stressed. I wasn't really listening. I was overriding. And this happens a lot in midlife because all of a sudden things are changing hormonally. We don't have as much estrogen, or if we do have enough, it's fluctuating in our body. And when that happens, inflammation happens. And then all of this other stuff starts to come up where tolerance is low. You start, wanting to set different boundaries. You're looking at your life and you're feeling like you're having an identity crisis. And all of these things are happening, and you feel totally out of control because you're like, I don't know what to focus on right now. And because you haven't built that safety in your body, and because that intuition isn't there, what do? We seek outside, and we ask other people's opinions, or we see what they're doing, or we see something that, we gravitate towards on social media. And then we don't check in with ourselves. So that collaboration is really important. It's also important in midlife so that our bodies can repair, and so that we can, really try to create as much of a homeostasis environment in our bodies as possible. Okay, so I'm talking a lot, but like how to apply this, like what does this mean? I'm talking all this energetic and frequency, and food is it, how can we create like more of an environment for ourselves where food is medicine? Well, first, it is about changing the environment of like how you're eating and what that looks like. Are you sitting down? I can't tell you, since I've had a child, and I've really had to check in with myself, how often I find myself standing and eating and doing other things. And how terrible that is for your digestion, for your nervous system. And so, one thing that is helpful, that sounds really ridiculous, is sit down, take the time, and take a few breaths during breathing. Like, have this be a practice. We are talking about things that we're doing automatically, like brushing our teeth, eating, like all these things that come to us naturally, yet we've been doing them wrong, specifically when it comes to eating. So we have to kind of go back to the basics, and again, like, I realize sometimes you got to eat in your car, sometimes you're traveling, sometimes these things, but no matter where you are, you can still ground yourself. You can still pause before you eat. You can take a few deep breaths. You can not be on your phone. You can focus on the food. This also will help send signals to your body that, okay, we're preparing to eat. This is like how we're going to digest. These signals also are going to like send signals of when you're full, when something feels good, when a particular food is not settling well for you. When we override all of that stuff, we have no idea what our bodies feel nourished by and what they feel stressed by. So that's one thing. Shift questions from control to nourishment. Are you buying the same things over and over? Do they have any nutritional value? Are they fake foods? Are they highly processed? Are they minimally processed? Are you purchasing things that are in season? Are you actually cooking your food? Is everything kind of pre-made and pre-packaged? And, in another video, obviously, like I'll talk through some of this, but the simpler you can eat, the better for your body, no matter who you are. The simple foods, one ingredient foods, we all know this. So the more you can really, and again, that connects us more to the earth. That creates an energetic frequency. Also, it's less likely that you're going to overeat. And even if you do, it's not that big of a deal if you overeat on your vegetables or protein versus junk food. So that's another thing to keep in mind, and another just tool that you can have. Honor your individual changing rhythms. If you are trying to eat the same exact way all through the month and all through the changing seasons of your life, you will be super frustrated and angry, and you will not see results. For many women, they feel hungrier around their cycle. If you listen and honor that instead of feeling like you have to fight it, the likelihood of you creating these patterns of feeling restricted and then binging, or feeling like you don't allow yourself certain things, that will start to shift. There's a level of permission that you can give yourself when your body is sending cues, and when you are tuned in and tapped in, that you should listen to. Okay. It's not, we don't need to override or feel like we have to be in this state of restriction all the time. So it's important, and then sometimes your body does need less. Sometimes your body does need a break in digestion. Maybe you do need to go longer periods in between your meals. Maybe, you need a day where you're just eating some light soup. Listen to those things. There is no one way to reach your goals or to get healthy, it has to follow the cycles, like we are we are cyclical beings. The other practical tool that's helpful is to release the fixation on the problem. So again, energetically, right? When they talk about manifestation, it's like this is very similar. All you're focusing on is, oh my God, I look this way. Oh my God, I hate this or I hate that. You're drawing more of that in. You're creating more rifts, more frustration, and what we want is a smoother energetic line. We want to feel more in tune instead of the rigidity of the scale and the measurements and all the things. It's okay to have those, but what I'm saying is, first your frequency and your energy needs to be there first, and work on that, and then invite some of the rules in and these practices that support where you're at. Okay. And then and so some of that is really about really listening to how you feel and be honest about that. And again, if you are disconnected from your intuition and from your instinct, right, that gut feeling, if you are overriding all of that all of the time, these practices will be much harder than you think, even though they're simple practices. And then just remember too that healing doesn't happen under constant surveillance. Live your life. If you're going through health stuff, do what you can to live your life. And what do they say? One of the biggest steps in healing is to stop trying to heal and start living. And as somebody who has been through immense healing difficulties and challenges for the last, for several years, sometimes that advice can feel triggering, right? It's like, well, they don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to constantly, feel this way, and all of these excuses. But the fact is, we have to live through the uncertainty, and uncertainty is a bitch, and sometimes that means you'll have good days, and sometimes it means you'll have bad days, and it's moving through that. But if you yourself are grounded, if you yourself can really tap in and feel more in control of yourself and your emotions and your frequency, the less bothered and the better choices you will make. So how does this even all work? Like, how does it support hormones and metabolism? Like, is this all fluff? No. A regulated nervous system improves digestion and blood sugar. So when you feel calm, think about it. When you are stressed and frazzled and you haven't gotten any sleep, or you're wired, and so you're living off coffee, and you're working through, you're overriding again the tiredness, and you're doing what you feel like you got to do. Your cravings go up, your digestion slows down, you are more prone to inflammation, headaches, joint pain, all of those things. So while you go and you're like, oh, I'm going to take this supplement, I'm going to take that supplement, I'm going to take a digestive enzyme. And again, I believe in all that stuff. I walk people through that stuff, that I'm a big believer in it. But it can't be the only way that you're working through this stuff. And if you're just taking a bunch of supplements with an unregulated nervous system, they're not going to work. They're only going to take you so far. Your body won't even absorb them because it won't even know how, because it's working on so many other factors that are happening. So that's really important. It's really important. And this is the work that nobody wants to do. We don't really want to slow down. It's really hard to say no. It's really hard to really look at our life and say, wow, where am I giving too much? Where is my cup just empty and I'm continuing to pour into others and not be there for myself? And that is self-responsibility. Oops, my screen went dark for a sec. Sorry about that. So it's really important um, that happens, and that you're really um, taking the time to regulate your nervous system and do what needs to be done. Um, Calm supports cortisol balance and metabolic repair. Excuse me. Um, if your cortisol is all whacked up, which oftentimes it is for people in midlife and going through hormonal changes and big stress, the body is going to have a really hard time, managing weight and managing cravings and really focusing on any sort of protocol. Anyways, you're gonna feel burnt out. It's just gonna happen. And so in those types of scenarios, it's like, where can you make small improvements? Where can you start to regulate your life and create rhythm and create some rituals, which we'll talk about and in some videos upcoming. And speaking of rituals, I did release one of the videos from my ritual course. So, and it's free to you guys. So the course is $199, and it has like 9 different rituals, and they're rituals for anyone. And they really have a variety there. It's an amazing course with PDFs and all of that. But I released one so you guys could get a feel of all of that's there and what's to offer that. So just a little plug in there. Cortisol balance and metabolic repair, really important. And then devotion creates consistency without the rebellion. Okay, so you're not having that cycle of like guilt and shame and did I do good today? Did I not? It's more about, again, coming back to that practice and being embodied with it and thinking about who you are and what frequency you are at in all of the decisions that you're making, including your food, including the nourishment, including your environment, what you're watching, what you're seeing, what you're listening to, the people that you're around. All of that really plays a role in your nourishment and your health and your body and your physique. And then nutrition tools are here to support the body. Okay, they're not weapons. So we shouldn't be punishing ourselves or even thinking in that way. And when you find yourself in that place, it's really a time for you to step back and pause and say, okay, why am I doing this? What is this all for? Where am I out of alignment? What is pulling on my energy and making it so that I'm not really feeling balanced in the decisions that I'm making? What does my body need? This is this devotion is really about listening and tuning in. So just some takeaways. I know this was probably a little longer than I had wanted, but welcome. That's probably how it'll be for me. How you eat matters just as much as what you eat. Okay. Your body's wisdom is individual and it's dynamic. So, really thinking about, that you are a special star, that there are no two people alike. There are no two snowflakes alike. And being happy about that and really guiding your life, your decisions, and your experience in this life around that principle, that you can take these nuggets and these things and these tools, and then you get to create the elixir for you, and that is powerful, right? That's the power inside of this. Nourishment begins with safety and not control, and what I'll leave you with is to try one meal today. And really, even if the nutrition or the nourishment isn't resonating with you, try one thing today where you are truly, totally 100% present and devoted. And when you do that, I want you to just think about and notice how your frequency changes after that. Do you feel lighter? Do people bug you less? Do you feel like your energy shifted? Does your mood change? Do you notice any physical changes? Do you have less, XYZ? So I would just encourage you to think about that and practice that from a different lens. Yeah, and like I said, this is a passion project, and it's also a way for me to give information and education and teach in a way that gives back to everybody, and also helps you get to know the work that I'm doing and what I can offer. And yeah, so hit the like and subscribe. That really helps. And check out some of the information in my YouTube channel. It'll give you some information on what it is where I'm headed, what I'm doing. I'll keep it up to date. And just to say that January and February are, things are shifting for me. And so bear with me. They're like, I'm building the thing, and things aren't perfect yet. And so if you have questions, if you need support, if, you are wanting to work together, just reach out to me. Or you can also go to my Instagram page at rootedandradiantwithrachel.com. There's a few links on there. Again, things will evolve. Try not to judge things right away, because things aren't perfect, and I'm in the midst of, presenting a brand that is in alignment with the direction that I'm going. So with that, I will leave you, and yeah, comment below if this was helpful. Comment below too if there are certain subjects or topics that you are struggling with, because there'll be a variety of things on this channel, and I'm going to just be intuitive about how I deliver the information, what I deliver. So your feedback is really helpful. And with that, I will leave you. Take care.